Vittorio Angelone. I'm stopping losing weight. I've drawn a line under it. We're going for a plateau now.
Yes.
So I did calorie deficit for ages, lost 2 stone, and now we're just gonna.
It's over.
You're skin and bone, so now you're trying to bulk.
I've been going to the gym the whole time. I've been getting stronger, but I just think we're at the point where I lost 2 stone in about 5 months, and then I'm just like, okay, this is.
That's great. What was your motivation to lose so much weight?
Richard Osman's House of Games. No, that's not.
What do you mean?
Osman can be quite shaming.
Yes,
He's so tall, he looms over you.
He's tall and looming, and sure, he has a gut that'd fucking, a gut that'd make a pigeon scared himself. But yet, he has a mean word for anyone else who has it, because he says you don't even have a House of Games and you have a big belly. Do you know what I mean?
You wish you'd a House of Games.
You have an Empire of Dust. That's right.
You have a House of Sweets and crisps.
That's
a house full of fucking Charnival cheese coming out your ears.
What was the motivation? I don't really know what the motivation was.
Remember you just said.
I wanted to get shredded for a laugh.
Yeah. It's really funny. Yeah.
Oh, check
back
1,
in the
2.
game. Guess who's back in the
Vittorio,
news?
you're looking great.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll just do it word for word. Exactly why.
Have you lost some weight?
I have lost many weight. I lost 2 stone.
Wow.
I was trying to work out the actual. I wanted to get in mad shape for a laugh.
Okay.
I thought it would be quite funny. And also achievable only briefly in your life to reasonably be able to get 6-pack, stupidly ripped, and I was sort of aiming for that. And then after losing 2 stone of weight, which a lot of people have said, I didn't really have 2 stone to lose.
Yeah, you weren't a big fella.
Beautiful, what's the word? Rubenesque boy.
I'm going to assume that's not the right word.
Do you remember when Johnny Sack was describing his wife, and he's like, I never cared that she was fat. She was rubesque, or there's some word he used.
Is that how you describe Vittorio?
Yes, he was
I don't care that
Rubenesque.
Vittorio's fat.
Oh, yeah,
I just love him for who he is.
I loved him. I thought he was beautiful. This big, gorgeous, succulent Italian bottom, and he was going on. But no, he was. You look great. You were
you
flying
look like
it.
a handsome young fella, a handsome young buck around town.
Now, to be fair, you do look even. The jaw now is
The frustration.
The jaw does look great.
Your features are more defined.
It's all come off my face and feet.
Yes.
I'm down a shoe size, Peter.
How do you lose?
Fuck knows.
He had fat little feet on him. He did. Fat little Italian paws
He had
on
wobbly
him.
little ankles.
He had wobbly
I don't
little
know
ankles.
what the fuck was going on, but
He
all
did.
my shoes are too loose now.
Really?
Isn't
Yes.
that?
You were storing fat in your heel.
And I
Yes.
still have a fucking. I don't have a 6-pack.
He had little jelly feet. He had little feet made of jelly. They'd be wobbling around, and
God knows how I ever fell over at any point in my life.
Yes. That's
just
incredible.
big.
but he wanted.
Wow.
He said to me one day. He said, I'm going to get fucking just ripped and tanked. Wouldn't that be hilarious? I'm like, I don't know if it'd be the funniest thing ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you'll just look class.
Yeah, I think it's vanity. It's vanity, and that's okay. I think it's
You wanna
okay.
look
It's
great.
okay,
I
it's
sort of
okay to
just
say you
wanted to
want it
give
to
it a
look
go
nice.
while I could give it a go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. I'm going to try, but maybe I'm not a 6-pack person. Maybe I'm not. Maybe
I think
I'm
to get a
precluded from that.
6-pack, you need to make it your whole personality. I think to get to that level, you need to think about it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I was pretty bad for a while. I was pretty I think I nearly gave myself an eating disorder at one point, but I managed to just get away with it. It was when all the US visa stuff was falling apart.
Right.
I got unbelievably strict with my diet because it was
Right.
the only thing I could control in my whole life.
Yes.
Stress does suppress your appetite.
You were a tyrant to yourself. You were your own Auschwitz guard.
Mussolini.
Yes, Mussolini. Now that's good gravy. We've got a clip and we're not even 2 minutes in. And we're already on the pig's back. They've already got their money's worth. By the way, let me introduce on the back of Mussolini. That's good gravy now. And so that's it. The hunger makes his mind sharp.
Yes.
Before that, he wouldn't cope with that.
He's ravenous for humour.
He had a head full of gravy and his jelly feet, and sure, he could barely string a sentence. Now he's fucking
Razor sharp.
Razor sharp. We have in with us today one of my favourite comedians, Peter Flanagan, an author, a writer for the Irish Times, also the Journal, and I believe
Is author the word that you would use, Peter?
Absolutely not, but I love I love when Mike describes me as Flanagan the writer.
Flanagan, he's an author, he's a journalist, and most importantly, he's a truth teller.
He's a scholar.
Troubled Irish
A
writer.
saint and a scholar.
Yes.
A saint and a scholar.
That's
Yes,
right.
Indeed.
He'd be in the lineage of Flan O'Brien, Brendan Behan, Peter Flanagan. And their names that will echo through the halls of Irish literature.
That's right.
He most recently wrote, was it a foreword for the newest edition of Charlotte's Web? He wrote.
Now, it was Jordan Peterson's Rules for Life. The introduction for that.
Yes. But Flanagan is a great man. We recently went for...
well, some people may have seen him at our gig at the
Yes.
fundraising
Yeah.
gig at the Comedy Store. And plenty of people
I
may have
actually
seen
got a
you.
DM the other day from a woman
a woman with a need.
who lives in my building, it turns out.
Go away.
And had seen me at your gig. And we are... It looks like we're neighbours.
Right.
And
And there was an offering.
no, there wasn't.
her plum.
There wasn't. There absolutely wasn't. There was.
I learned
there
from
was
Alfie
no-
Brown. Her plum was presented to you on a silver platter to the
plum- a
author
plum
Peter
platter.
Flanagan.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But it looks like she enjoys you guys.
Yes.
And she enjoys my comedy since that gig. But it looks like we live in the same building. But I don't know which room she's in.
That's a
or-
strange dynamic.
Yeah.
I've had that before.
Have you?
The guy, the flat that we moved out of, the guy who moved in, big fan.
Right.
Oh.
And I had to go around and get some post off him. And it was like, It's
Yeah.
very
He's been
just
sniffing the chairs.
Yeah.
strange.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this
Vibes.
woman's trying to find you. She's
No. I had
detective inspector woman.
I had written an article.
Nurse.
I'd written a hard-hitting piece.
Yes.
What
You
are
like
your-
to roil people up, don't you? You're an
I'd
agitator.
written a hard-hitting piece.
You're a provocateur.
I was shaking some cages.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'd-
Poking the wasp's nest.
Yes.
That's right. And I'd written a piece talking about my disappointment
Yes.
in Sir Keir Starmer.
But you still do him this respect and kindness of giving him his full title.
Sir Keir.
The Right Honourable Sir Keir.
Sir Keir. The Right Honourable. Sir Keir
Sir
Starmer.
Minister Keir.
Yeah.
Son of a toolmaker.
My father was
yes.
a toolmaker. And my mother was a nurse.
Yeah.
That's right. He's an absolute flute of a man. And I was
He would have fit in a kneecap. He was a working class.
He was working class hero.
Working class hero. That
Yeah.
John Lennon famously sung about. Working class hero. That was about Starmer and his ilk.
Starmerism.
Yes. It was about Starmerism.
Which is a school of politics with almost no tenets.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's just a vacuum of
It's
ideology.
an old blank page. The Starmer Manifesto.
The Starmer Manifesto is more of a post-it.
Yes.
Gone
It
to
says
get
whatever
milk.
you guys reckon.
What would you like? Because I would also like that.
Starmer Manifesto is also the Waiter Manifesto. What are you having tonight? What do you reckon?
So
Yeah.
What do you fancy?
He's just dreadful. So I wrote this article saying how dreadful he is, and there was one line in it where I mentioned the Supreme Court ruling about trans women, and I said, "Oh, the Supreme Court has decided that trans women are women," and I get this essay saying, "Actually,
Like a Mexican fella?
Eddie Guerrero,
Yes.
the
late Eddie Guerrero, the late great Eddie Guerrero, came back to life.
Came back to life. We're just talking
we've
about
got
Eddie
a
Hello,
Guerrero.
Jamali.
We've got a sodden Jamali. Oh, you soaked through.
Throw yourself
Have a good
off.
one.
Hello,
this
how
is
you
Peter.
doing?
It's Jamali.
I'm Peter.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jamali.
That's,
You nearly said your own name, you bastard.
that's the writer, author, journalist, provocateur, agitator, and general great man. Peter the Great, I call him. Now, some people think of the Russian, the great Russian Tsar,
Yeah.
who won loads of territory for Russia. I think of Peter Flanagan.
Great Russians are what?
Well, Peter the Great was a Russian Tsar who
Did he found St. Petersburg?
he did?
Yeah.
Or Petrograd, some people would say. People who've read a bloody book. He just keeps rereading Charlotte's Web and tells everyone he's an author. For fuck's sake.
Very good.
Pleasure to meet you.
I'm going to take a shower. Please don't come
No, we
Okay,
won't.
that
No
would be.
I'll hold
No
Flanagan back.
intention of
I've got a little stick for keeping Flanagan, keeping
do
Flanagan
indeed.
back. Oh, we won't. Right.
Go on,
Now.
sorry. So you.
Walk past in my dressing gown, though.
That's okay.
That's
We'll
all right.
flip the camera around. The Supreme Court ruling, the trans
Yes.
women aren't women, was the Supreme Court
They
ruling?
decided that trans women are not women, or that was my understanding of it. But I got this essay,
Not a Mexican fella. A
Yes.
piece of writing.
Yes.
a DM,
Ah,
but it was long form,
Okay.
explaining to me that I'd misinterpreted, and the media in general had misinterpreted the ruling, and that the left was actually losing the narrative on the Supreme Court ruling. And I'm not intelligent enough or well read enough to understand what she was trying to explain to me. But I was also very conscious that we now live in the same building, so I have to
Oh, so it's this lady.
yeah, that's right.
Wow, she was a Mexican man the whole time.
It was Eddie Guerrero the whole time.
was Eddie.
It was under Rey Mysterio's mask.
it was the
My
revitalized,
neighbour.
She was a lucha wrestler.
She
the
was a luchador.
revitalized corpse of Eddie Guerrero.
That's right.
Yeah, who would famously say, "Cheat to win." That's what he would say.
Lie, cheat, and steal.
That's right. And you took on the mantra of every one of those things, and you decided
You
Christianity.
were fake news. You were
I was
fake
fake news. I was fake news. I think I am fake news. I think in general I probably represent a general diminishment in the quality of opinion writing,
Yes,
journalism.
because you're doing. Is it would that be an op-ed? You're doing op-eds,
I suppose it'd be an op-ed.
Yeah.
It'd be more op than ed.
I don't know what the ed, but is that editor? You're not
Editorial,
an editor.
an opinion. Good
Editorial.
question. I'm not sure.
Heavy
yet.
on the op.
I've no journalistic training, so I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
no idea.
He's a dream weaver. He's
I weave dreams.
Yes, he dreams, weaves ideas. He manipulates. He prods. He doesn't like the prod stuff. Famously, you're often having to go.
That's your op.
My mother
Yeah.
sent me. My mother be a harsh critic now of myself, and but myself in general, my personality, but my comedy in particular. And she sent me a voice note a number of weeks ago, just kind of saying, "Look, you've gone a bit hard on the English." And that was exactly, and I'm sure Vittorio does it now, you know. And he's my comedy role model, you know.
Yes.
He's made a whole career out of this. And she's like, look, if there was an Englishman living in Ireland, taking the piss out of Ireland the way you take the piss out of England, I think, well, why doesn't he fuck off back to England then?
Yeah.
That was her attitude, and she could be right. You know, she could be right.
She'd be aligned in a lot of ways with McGregor at this moment. He's kind of captured your mother ideologically. Is that fair to say or
Your
not?
mother's in the manosphere.
Yes.
My mother's in the mammosphere.
Manosphere. Now that's a sketch waiting to happen.
Second
Mammosphere.
clip, mark it. Mussolini, Mammosphere.
The Mammosphere.
We could end the podcast here and it's been a success.
Yeah.
Andrea,
Yes.
who's in the manosphere? Andrea Tate and Jordan Peterson. That's a non-binary name. Which, I mean, for him, he must be fucking raging about the fact that his name's non-binary.
Yeah.
Right.
You got who else is in
Katie
the man?
Price Peterson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Tell you what.
Yes.
The
So-
Mammosphere. It's all
The
good.
Mammosphere.
We'll film the sketch in between public and Patreon, I reckon.
We will. Your mother has no time for you because she knows you, so she knows you're lying.
She sees through
So
me.
she sees through you. Your cheap tricks.
Yeah.
You're.
My mother would have loved me to be like a broadcast journalist. Like, I always wanted to be some sort of actor, comedian.
Yes.
And I remember being like 6 or 7, and we were coming home from school, and there'd been like a parent-teacher meeting or whatever. And Mum was like, yeah, the feedback was all good. I told them that you're going to be a presenter on RTE. You're going to read the news on RTE. And I remember looking at her going, what? I've never said that in my. See, my mum, like, if I write, I think the reason that I write anything for the Irish Times or for the Journalist is to please my mother. She likes that.
Yeah,
Yes.
she wants you reporting live from Fallujah.
She would love that. She would love me dodging missiles.
She wants you to be Charlie Bird.
She'd love that.
She would love that.
Having the shit kicked out of me by
Yes.
by Celtic supporters
That's
on
right.
O'Connell Street.
Behind me-
That'd be her dream.
Behind me
And I
here, as you can
can't
see, is a
Celtic.
coup
Yes.
in Tenement Square.
Yes.
Yes, is a queue, and then just little rocks. You're dodging them.
Back to you, Anne. do you know Anne Doyle?
No.
Oh, no.
I'm bad at knowing people.
Lad.
Yeah.
Is she in the
Doyle,
mammy sphere?
She'd be in the mammy sphere now. She'd be in the mammy sphere.
She'd
be one
rule
of
the mammy sphere.
She'd be
in a
one
lot
of the top
ways.
mammies now.
Yes. She'd be kind of...
Is she with child?
Anne Doyle.
Yeah.
Is she with child right now?
Is she? I'd say
I believe
now,
she's in her 70s.
I think she'd
Flanagan.
possibly always with child.
Like the English teachers in everybody's school, just constantly on maternity leave, always
That's right.
pregnant, always. They would come back from the maternity leave already pregnant.
That's right.
With the next one.
Was it always English teachers?
In my school, it was the English department were very pregnant.
Well, they were friskier women because they'd read poems of the Romantics and they'd been riled up by the likes of Lord Byron and Shelley and these
Yeah.
Keats and the words of, do you know what I mean?
Did you do this in Kilkenny?
Huh?
Did you study Keats in Kilkenny?
Oh, we were absolutely filled like little buckets of milk to the top with John Keats from an early age.
I
And
don't
Lord
think-
Byron and Shelley and the Romantics. They thought it very important in
Jeez,
between hurling training too.
We didn't do that in Newbridge now. There was none of that.
I've said this before. One of the English teachers in my school, somebody found out she'd contributed to a collection of short stories of lesbian erotica.
Oh.
And somebody found the book, bought the book, photocopied her short story like hundreds of times and just threw it around the school.
Really?
The collection of short stories is called Tales from the Clit.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
So can I just say,
Yes.
your English teacher, she sounds like a legend.
Yes.
Nope.
What?
One of the worst cunts ever.
Oh,
Really?
Hey now.
Terrible woman.
Was it you?
Terrible woman.
Did you photocopy
I didn't do the
her work?
photocopying. I didn't do the photocopying. It was not me.
Right.
It was not me at
But
all.
you supported it.
Listen, I was
You were
was
pleased.
there. I was the bystander. I certainly didn't stop it from happening.
didn't stop
I
it,
probably
no.
could have stopped it from happening.
Yeah.
But I know who it was.
You're
It
like
was
Keir
the-
Starmer looking at the Israel-Gaza war. You could
I said,
stop
sure,
it.
that's nothing to do with me.
That's
I
nothing to
like
do
the
with me.
Jews.
Yeah.
And people said, why'd you bring that up?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I just think they're good lads. But I know exactly who it was. It was a budding journalist in my year in school we had he created sort of like a newspaper.
Right.
Of sorts that he would get people to like contribute to with little cartoons and
It was like an
little
unofficial
funny-
school newspaper.
Yeah, and it was called The Monthly Procrastination that came out once a fortnight.
Okay.
And it was distributed, and this is how you know it was him. It was distributed by, he would print it once, photocopy it hundreds of times, walk up to, there was a big kind of like hall in the middle of our school where people would like have dinner and stuff. There was 2 bridges across it.
Okay.
And you just walk up to the top of it and just throw hundreds of copies of the newspaper off the bridge. That's how it
Wow.
was distributed.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Grassroots.
So it had his hallmark thing, this kind of Tales from the Clip being tossed around.
Okay, so he published part of Tales from the Clit in his weekly.
No, it was a separate, maybe like a
separate.
bonus edition.
Right.
Right.
Like a special, like extra,
But she was an
extra.
unpopular teacher.
Now, can I ask something? Is Tales from the Clit, is this kind of a series of short stories written from the perspective of a woman's clitoris?
Could be from that's like the location of where the stories are, because I think it's a play on Tales from the Crypt. Is that a thing? Is that a book?
I love that you've looked at me for that.
You're an author.
I am
You're
an
the
author.
only author we've
I
had
am an
on this
author.
podcast
I am an
so
author.
far.
That's so not true.
It's-
we had Benji on who
I
had just written a book.
Genuinely,
An actual author.
I genuinely can't remember that episode. But to my mind and to how I feel, you're the first man
Thank you,
of
Mike.
the written word that we've had
Thank
on
you
this
very much.
fucking podcast.
Thank you very much.
And we'll show you your due respect.
Troubled writer Peter Flanagan.
That's right. But Tales from the Clit, because you wouldn't engage in that kind of smut.
Yeah.
Would you?
Dreadful. Me? No. I've never seen a clitoris.
No.
I certainly am interested in its tattletales.
No, you
It's
did write.
tittle-tattle.
Was this? Am I right in saying that this was you that you had passages of werewolf erotica at one point?
I've never written werewolf erotica, but it's something that I aspire to. Is that what you're asking me?
I thought maybe I had found your notebook after a gig, and that there was something about a werewolf kind of taking a woman from behind in an alley or something.
Werewolf
but maybe
erotica.
yes.
This might have been a hallucination, Mike.
Did
Right.
you confuse Peter's notebook for the Twilight series?
There could have been a mix-up. I wasn't well at the time, that's for sure.
Right.
But no,
You don't need to say at the time. You haven't been well since I've known you.
that's right. But I met a woman once in Berlin who kind of took to me in the
carnal sense.
In the carnal sense, and that was her job was to write werewolf erotica. And sure, then I was like, you probably know Peter Flanagan, do you? And she said, who's that? And I said, well, you're clearly not in the game if you don't know.
Yeah, a basketball player not knowing who Michael Jordan is.
You don't know Michael Jordan.
That's exactly
right. But then I think it's silly because you weren't writing that at all.
No, I wasn't.
Fuck.
I was thinking about it.
You were thinking about it.
It'd be very funny if you stood up, sprinted to the airport and flew to Berlin right now to try and write this wrong.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't Peter Flanagan, I was wrong. Just shouting it around the streets of Berlin.
I'll scream at her, yeah. There was there was some hijinks in a toilet in Berlin.
Was your experience in Berlin, was it predominantly sexual in nature?
I felt like I was getting it from. I felt like I'd kind of swirled into the seventh circle of hell, and it turned out hell was the best place there was to be. There was stuff going. There was because they'll.
Berlin's a very sexual place.
They get on top of you anywhere in the toilet, in the park. You're on the train. There's people petting at you. There's people dressed as pigeons asking you to feed them crumbs. Do you know what I mean? It's like
no,
I don't. I actually don't know what you mean.
It's a complete kind of a dissolution of moral fabric and decency and monogamy.
Well, we've discussed this on the podcast before. It's because Germany aren't allowed to say no to anything anymore because they did that once and
they have to.
It all got a bit out of hand.
They just have to.
They just be like, yeah, do whatever you want.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes,
that's fine by me. That's the corner they've painted themselves into, really. And
they've got to go the other way.
Absolutely.
Yes,
they've got to go the other way.
Right.
Too far the other way.
Well, that's it. It's like you want to dress up as a pigeon, and someone else has to pretend to be a nest, and then you're saying I'm laying an egg, but you're really shitting in their mouth.
That's right.
And then
that's right.
The German authorities, the German authorities will say, well, if we say no to this next thing, they're calling us Nazis again.
That's right.
Let it fly. And sure, what harm is a bit of owl shiting them out? Sure, isn't it? The circle of life comes out one end into the other end, and by God, isn't that what God intended in some way?
So how'd you get into journalism?
Well, Flanagan, I want to bring us back to because Flanagan now grew up in Kildare. But he went.
But we won't hold it against you.
Absolutely not.
I've no real opinions of Kildare.
It's an opinionless place. There's no.
It's not like it's Maskell's. Maskell's a Kildare
right.
man.
Yeah, yeah. He's kind of.
He's your figurehead at the minute.
He'd be our leader.
Yeah,
he'd be our leader. Yeah.
Who else is a big Kildare? Are you the Lily Whites? Is that?
We'd be the Lily Whites.
Christy Moore's not Kildare, is he?
Yeah, went to the same school. Yeah,
okay.
Christy,
Same year.
Yes, he was thick and he was held back
50 years.
Yes, that's right. I think he's still there. I think he's still trying to pass his junior cert.
Yeah, well, because he wrote all the answers in exams. And how do you even spell that?
That's right.
Let's be honest. Come on.
But for PE, he'd stay in goal and just kind of. Do you know what I mean?
Just sweating all over the place.
Just sweating all over the place, kind of keeping a kind of demented rhythm to the game.
That's right.
From the goal. But so you were in Kildare, and now let me say this because you had a group of friends there. You're in Kildare, and you kind of like Kilkenny growing up. It's like don't do anything different, or don't be. Do you know what I mean? Put your head above the parapet. And then didn't you end up going to Trinity College, a place where people would accuse you of having notions or ideas above your station?
That's right. That's right. I went to Trinity, and it was a controversial decision on my part. I mean,
where would be the go-to?
UCD.
Okay.
Yes.
UCD. Yeah.
Keep it simple. Straight up the middle.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Whereas Trinity feels like the kind of the Oxbridge of Ireland almost. It's a bit highfalutin.
It has notions about itself.
Yes.
It has notions about itself. So
that would be frowned upon in Kildare, because I feel like there's a stereotype of Kildare from other counties that Kildare would have notions about itself.
Yeah, there's an association with Kildare as kind of Greater Dublin, which Kildare people would resent.
Because it's not as rural as Kilkenny. That's my image of Kildare in my mind.
Kildare's quite a long county. It's quite geographically quite large. So there's some very rural parts, and then there's more like Naas would feel like an extension, an extension of Dublin. Perhaps there's parts of Kildare like where Maskell's from. You can get a Dublin bus into the city centre.
Right. Yeah.
Where I'm from would be very rural.
Yes. Yes. So there would be an element of a working man, practicality. You eat your meat and spuds, and you get up early, and you get on with it. And then you hit the Trinity, and this is what people have ideas, and there's French people, and it's scared. It would have scared your friends.
Yeah. Well, they they got accepted into UCD. They put on their safety helmets and they packed a bag full of apples and crayons, and they were happy, And they were off to learn basket weaving and how to change a tire. The important
and
stuff.
Marketing.
That's right. And
sports science.
Well, at some point you have to sell the baskets.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
Market weaving, basket weaving, marketing, and sports science. Those are the three options in
and
UCD.
you, on the other hand, were a dream weaver.
I was a dream weaver. I was a weaver of dreams.
What did you study at the Glorious Trinity?
I studied philosophy and political science, which is distinct from an arts degree. So in UCD, you would do an arts degree, which is you'd put all the thickos kind of in a hole, and they'd be kind of kept out of trouble for 3 years.
Okay, kept away from anything sharp.
Yeah, that's right. Anything sharp, there'd be. A decision would have been made that it'd be better if they sniffed glue in front of us rather than doing it under a bridge, because it'd be their instinct. So they'd all be. Whereas philosophy and political science, it was a more kind of curated group of people.
Is this the sort of PPE equivalent?
That's right.
That's
right. Right. So there's about 10 students accepted in. And
wow, big moves.
Yeah. So you take philosophy classes and you take political science classes.
Like it's a feeder to becoming a politician?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
A lot of people would end up in the civil service. I have a friend who works in tech. I have another classmate who works for BlackRock now. So
are they an evil organisation?
I'm sitting
they're just
here.
very good at rugby.
BlackRock College are a Holy Ghost, Order of the Holy Ghost.
Oh no, he works in the BlackRock school.
No, he works
for BlackRock, the big
investment company.
And I think they are bad bastards.
Are they like
BlackRock could be naughty now?
Is that George Soros? Is he the architect of that?
He's a money man, certainly.
Right.
Is he involved with BlackRock? He might be. I don't know.
Yes, but they'd be kind of responsible for most of the ills in the world.
That's right.
If you had a cough or any kind of bad, and you'd be like, "What's after happening there?" Well, I don't know, but BlackRock are involved.
If you wake up having had a wet dream, George Soros has been in your room, and he's felt you up. He's
been sitting in front of you, just kind of
fair play to him.
What's it called when you kind of implant something in someone else's head? Inception. He's been incepting filthy images in your head.
Inception. That's right.
Which has led to you ejaculating. So you're in Trinity College, your friends from school, they're in UCD, and after a while, correct me if I'm wrong, a resentment starts to.
Well, there's resentment from the start. My own father was very unhappy about it. You know, he was a UCD man, and he was, a very proud UCD man. And when I got my Leaving Cert results, I was kind of assumed I would fail my Leaving Cert. So when I got my Leaving Cert results, my dad wept. I've never seen him cry. He wept because they thought, "Oh, my son's not a total idiot. He's not going to be walking the streets."
And how did you pull that out of the bag? How did you lead them to believe you were a total idiot to the point, but then get such good results?
That would be an indicator.
That's a big come along move.
Yeah.
Fail his mocks and then...
Did come long... first of all, do we call him...
We do.
Come long. Come long.
His lungs are full of cum.
His lungs are full of cum. Are stacked with cum.
Jesus. He's backed up.
Tip to toe with cum, yes. We have to, every once in a while, we have to stick in a little stent in his lung and drain him.
Does he breathe in the cum? Or does he...
we don't know where it's coming from.
Right.
Yes.
It's just there.
If we give him half a chance, he'll breathe in the cum, and that's why we have to keep an eye on him.
Mother
he inhales the stuff. Oh, yeah, he's hungry for it. He has a need,
and
want.
This isn't covered on the NHS. You have to go private now to have the cum taken out.
Have the cum taken out of his lungs. But sure, as soon as you have it taken out, he's off again looking for more of it. And it's just a dirty little... it's a rotten little cycle.
Yeah, it's like Sisyphus.
Yeah, it very much is. It's endless. But so you're in Trinity. Your father can't believe it. You've passed. Your mother is kind of saying he's the new Brian Dobson. He's going to be reading the news.
That's right.
That's great. And so
And you're still on track for this sort of journalistic potential career. You're like that's still.
I was a bit
within
like
the
your
realms.
friend with the weekly procrastination. I'd had a school paper, so I was kicked off the school paper
for indecent exposure. Did I read that correctly?
He said, "I reckon we should have a page 3. Look at these."
I'd read
You were
Tales of the Clit.
Murdochian. You were Murdochian in your lust for salacious phone.
I
Phone
absolutely
tapping.
was. I was.
Phone tapping.
I was. And this is back when we all had Nokia brick phones. I was kicked off the college press, it was called. And because I'd written what was considered a nasty piece. And
About Sally Rooney.
No, I hadn't met Sally Rooney at this point. I hadn't met Rooney. Rooney hadn't upstaged me quite yet.
Right. Rooney.
I'd love to go to a talk with Sally Rooney.
Yeah,
And when she
just
comes
yell,
out, go, Rooney!
That goal against Man City, Sally. Yeah, fucking. I'll never forget it. Right, so.
Go on, Saza.
So who have you been?
The Rune Dog.
Yeah, who have you been accused of?
Transition year, long story short, we did some work placement. It's Kildare, remember, so there's the Kura camp right there.
Yes.
There's
Can you explain what that is?
so the Kura camp was the United Kingdom's military base in Ireland. It was there. It was where the Brits had their army stationed. Because where I live, it's very flat. So it's very good for horse racing, and it's very good for oppressing the native Irish.
Depression kind of thrives there, doesn't it?
Depression.
There's nowhere for it to go.
It was kind of the Wuhan of depression. So it started there. Someone bit a bat in 1786, and then it spread slowly around the world.
Yes.
That's where it started, was County Kildare. And the British Army had their army there, and then they left. And then there was some monkey business.
Right.
And the Brits decided, actually, we'll leave Ireland.
Yes.
We'll famously, they kept
Mostly.
They kept some
Mostly,
of
they
it.
moved up the road.
They moved
Yeah.
up the road. They moved
Aye.
up the road. So the native Irish, the indigenous Irish, took over the Kura camp for our own army. And our own army, interestingly, has a very small horse division.
As in, there aren't very many horses, or all the horses are small.
They're diminutive little. I think they're
Shetland
ponies. They're
ponies.
ponies,
Shetland
little
ponies.
They have
ponies.
a pony
They would be
cavalry.
they're the first line of defence if the Brits come back. We have a small fleet. I think
Yes.
it's
fleet.
a fleet of diminutive horses.
Of Shetland ponies.
Yeah, a cavalry
Yeah.
of dwarfish little.
And do you have? And is this right? I read something about this, that for this section of the army, they have small little fat-arsed fellas on the Shetland ponies. So they have this kind of little fleet of Shetland ponies, but they are being jockeyed by also short little big-arsed men. That kind
Which
of
is where Michael D. Higgins came from.
This was how he was conceived.
Yes.
And this was the story I was trying to break. And the college press said the story was anti-Semitic.
Silenced you by the woke mob.
I was silenced by the woke mob.
Yes.
And
What was the story about?
The story was literally that. It was literally about Michael D. Higgins and his ties to Israel. It was about
famous genocide apologist Michael D. Higgins.
He's a
I've had enough
nasty
of his
little man.
fascist bullshit.
Yes, that's right.
Vote McGregor.
Ah, you dirty Egypt. You're going to get his mother riled up with that now. If she's watching.
She'll be up the high down now listening to
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I'm
She'll
just
be up
trying
the
to get
high
some
down.
audience in the mammy
The
sphere.
mammy sphere.
She'll be throwing her cabbage off the windows now if she hears that shite. Right?
She'll be kicking my father up his arse and saying, go over to England now and bring him home. He's after going on some dirty little podcast with a mustached Northern Irish man and a dirty little fucker from Kilkenny.
A dirty little bollocks. Excuse my French.
And he's telling lies about me and he's telling lies about Kildare.
That's right.
So I'm here, I'm hammering my mother, I'm hammering Kildare, and I'm hammering these jockeys. So I write an article for
Yes.
the college press,
Yes.
taking the piss out of these lads because
Yeah.
it's
And
very
the cavalry.
The cavalry, it's very funny.
Yeah.
There's like 3 lads working there. They have a few horses, and I don't know what happened in their military careers that they're here showing us how to slap out the stables, basically. It's just very funny.
Yeah.
And I write an article about this. Article is probably giving myself too much credit. I'm about
an
15.
article about doing your kind of work experience.
Yeah, exactly.
There.
So they asked me to write something
Working out the shed.
about work experience.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll write about it if you want, but
I won't mince my fucking words. Right?
I'm a truth teller. Even
I'm not
now.
going to pander
That's right.
to the wider public.
Well,
Right.
Mrs. Story.
Does that mean fat people?
Mrs. Story,
The
ironically
wider
named.
public. I suppose in a way it does. Yes. Right. The wider public. That's a good one now. Now, you tell me this. So you get kicked off of that. And do you feel at that point you've been outcast? They've said the piece was cruel. That's what they said.
They said it was cruel.
Right.
And I don't know how cruel it could have been insofar as I was 15 and I was writing about
The
adult
army.
soldiers.
Yes.
You know? So,
This is a real rocks at tanks scenario.
yeah.
Just
Did
like-
the article get back to these men and demoralise
I hope
them?
not.
Right.
I certainly hope not. Because I would hate to. I suppose that'd be the last. If I ever hear a little clip clop of diminutive
Wow, yeah.
horses in the dead of night, I'll know my time has come.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll know the midget horses with their big bottomed soldiers have finally come for me.
You shouldn't have written that article, Flanagan. We were just doing our job.
Just trying to protect this country.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why Britain haven't reinvaded.
Those three fellas and
Those
those 5
three men
tiny
and
horses.
their tiny little horses, kind of.
But a Shetland pony, that arse could absorb upwards of 20 bullets
you'd
without...
see them, Mike. They'd be kind of swaddled on
Yes.
top of the little horses, and they'd lift up their legs, and they'd be kind of going around like this.
Right.
It was disturbing stuff.
Was there a feeling that they were getting some sort of...
Sexual pleasure, yes. Yes.
That was the
And
feeling.
That's what I was trying to
in
say.
Kildare at the time?
I got kicked off the school paper for this article,
Yes.
and I started my own school paper.
Whoa.
A rival?
Yeah, it was called Paper X, and
You're an Elon Musk type character.
I was Musk before Musk.
Yes. You were Muskian.
I was Muskian.
Yes.
In my
Musky.
journalism.
Yes.
And I wrote the paper anyway with 2 friends of mine, one of whom betrayed me.
No.
That's right, David Armstrong. Yeah, he betrayed me.
Named and shamed.
Yeah, he lives in Spain now in disgrace.
And did you perhaps come up to him at a party and kiss him on the cheek and say, I know it was you, Armstrong? Like Pacino in The Godfather.
Well,
Thanks for
I
clarifying.
knew I was done. We were having a supper
Yes.
in the local McDonald's in Newbridge, County Kildare.
A
and-
betrayal at a supper.
Yeah, a group of Roman soldiers walked in, and I knew, I'm like, Armstrong! So we wrote this paper anyway, and it was, I showed it to my mother, and my mum was like, oh, this is actually good, like, this is good that you've done this, you know?
Did they get up and go?
What my mother didn't appreciate is that this is a Catholic school in Ireland in the 2000s, and the teachers were up in arms about it. And there was an inquisition, and
They wanted to control the press.
they wanted
control
to
the media.
press. That's right. There'd be no student initiative tolerated.
Right.
And Armstrong gave me up.
Yes.
Armstrong gave me up. He's my
And you
deputy
brought
editor.
Piers
You
Morgan in.
disseminated this paper sneakily, secretly.
I went mitching. I told the teacher I was feeling sick. I needed to go to the bathroom, but I actually had a backpack full of paper.
You were
eggs.
healthy as a horse.
Healthy as
you
a horse.
lied.
I was healthy as a tiny horse.
You lied.
Fighting the British. And I had a backpack full of paper eggs, and I went round and I put it in everyone's locker. So when lunchtime came, and people opened their lockers, and there was paper X.
Wow.
And we see we'd all written under pseudonyms.
Yes.
And it was basically a tabloid. I was disseminating
Smart.
rumor and innuendo.
Gossip.
But there was also charmingly an event listings section. It was
that's
before
nice.
the internet, so I would let people know what gigs were coming up.
You were saying Sandy Hook was a hoax.
That's right, I was. Sandy Cook hadn't happened yet.
And yet,
So-
even then, you had a feeling.
Who's
That's right.
Sandy Cook?
Yeah,
Sandy
Egypt.
Hook. There was it's a sad story now.
Don't
but
get into Sandy Hook now. That'll get him excited.
Let's do a little.
Tragedy.
This is actually part of the Mammosphere. This is
Yes.
actually one of their key conspiracy theories in the Mammosphere.
Is that Sandy Hook?
Sandy Hook was
Sandy
actually,
Hoax. That's
The
what I
Sandy
call
Hooks,
it.
yes.
That's what I
crisis
call it.
actors.
Do you not know about Sandy Hook?
I rarely get I rarely get stressed about talking about certain topics on the podcast, but a man did get sued for $1 billion for talking about
Yeah.
this.
Just so you know,
That's no money to Mike Rice. That's small money to Mike Rice.
I'd blow me nose with $1 billion. I'd wipe me hool with $1 billion. It'd make no dent in the Greenridge Empire, I tell you that. My father, if he dropped $1 billion, he wouldn't bother bend down to pick it up. Bigger fish to fry, you cunts. Sandy Hook did happen. Sorry about bringing that up.
What we do as a part of a swerve, what we do our Manscaped ad read. You've texted it to me.
Come
what
on.
a buzz. Well, this episode's brought to you by Manscaped, and they are refusing to send us ad reads, so we're getting AI to do it, and we've got it to write in the in the style of Jordan Peterson,
Right.
a Kildare themed Manscaped ad
Yes.
for the podcast.
Fantastic.
Here we go.
Fantastic.
You know, I've been thinking about order and chaos, and you see it most acutely in the Garden of Manhood, particularly in County Kildare, a place where traditionally the mower is only ever taken to the lawn, and even then only after a few pints and a gentle push from a begrudging spouse. But let's be
Begrudging.
honest, there's no nobility in allowing your nether regions to resemble the Wicklow Mountains in winter. Wild, windswept, untamed. That's where Manscaped comes in. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Yes, that's what it's called. It's not just a grooming tool. It's an archetype, a symbolic sword against the tyranny of follicular entropy. And it's waterproof, which is more than I can say for the roof on most Kildare sheds.
Oh, that's a dig now by Peterson.
come
That's
on.
a nasty dig.
Now
Oh,
I know
at the
what
infrastructure
you're
Kildare.
thinking. Surely Mike and Vittorio, purveyors of parental wisdom and juvenile innuendo.
Now that's another dig by Peterson.
Wow.
That's another dig.
Wouldn't stoop to testicular topiary talk, but no.
He doesn't know what
No.
topiary means.
I certainly don't.
I certainly
They
don't
assent to
fucking
it
clue.
because caring for oneself, even down there, is an act of discipline. And discipline, gentlemen, builds civilization. So go to manscaped.com, use the code parenting20 and restore your hierarchical integrity to your groin. You'll thank me, your partner will thank you, and your children will grow up in a house where order, however fleeting, is possible. And if you're from Kildare, for the love of God, just read the instructions first.
Because
Hurtful.
he's
Manscaped.
hurtful. He's assuming
Parenting 20 for 15% off.
that's right, and I think that will be our most for Manscaped profitable ad
Yeah.
because
they'll be all in.
they'll be hypnotized by the gobbledygook spoken by Jordan J. Peterson.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes.
I'm actually in the market for a new.
Jamali, do you need anything? A new razor, surely. Surely
Yes.
ball trimming
Yeah,
implement.
a new kind of pubic regimen, I would say. I need a new pubic regimen, I think. I need
Yes,
to mix it up a little
It's
bit.
gotten dicey down there.
It's under control.
Your lover has been hurt. Your lover has gotten wounded by what you have presented.
Only emotionally.
She's cut herself on your flaccid member.
Velcro
Sure.
love.
Sure.
What's the crack, Jamali?
So sorry. Please may I get... I can't get it. There's a laptop
There's a laptop.
in the corner of
I'll
the
get it.
in a little case.
Flanagan.
Sorry.
Flanagan will go.
Jamali needs her laptop.
This'll
for
be
her
a
big business meetings.
I have big business to attend.
And Flanagan is being very kind.
this'll be a
That's
piece of
the
piss to
one.
Flanagan.
That's the one.
This man was raised in the agricultural flatlands of Kildare, and he travels. The way he travels, even over flat ground there.
me on my tippy toes?
Yeah,
I did.
beautiful.
Yeah, on the balls of your
Beautiful.
feet. Yeah,
You've balls in your feet?
huh? I do.
You have
Please.
balls in your feet?
Do you know what? If you did have balls hanging off the end of your foot, it'd surely be a cruel existence. Do you know what I mean?
It would. It would be a cruel existence.
Surely you'd be fit for
Would you
the.
rather have balls in your feet or feet on your balls? Not to do like a really shit podcast question, but I'm really toying with that now. I think it's got
balls
to be
on your
balls
feet.
on feet.
Yeah, but they'd be very exposed down there. It'd be very hard to. You'd have to wear special shoes.
Steel toe caps, they're already there. They're built
So
for
where
you.
are the balls? Are they here?
I see the balls as just at the base of the toe.
Okay, so
Sort of
they're
there.
they're
sort
under.
of, no, it's just sitting
On
on
top.
top
Oh no,
of
no!
the...
I was thinking it's underneath. That's the whole. That's
So
the
you
whole
have to
premise.
step on them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, then it's definitely feet where your balls
Well,
are.
this is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. And if you had feet underneath your balls, and then if, say, you were lucky enough to have a willing young maiden to perhaps throw one of your old balls in her mouth, and then you could give her a little encouraging tap on the chin, as in, well done now. And then when you're finished, kind of a that'll do pig.
How big are these feet?
Not to call a woman a pig, but more a babe
you
reference.
just tickle the
How big are
chin.
these? How big are these?
Little chin tickler.
How big are these feet? Balls feet. How big are the feet on our balls?
They're
How
like-
big are the feet?
I'm kind of viewing them as a little duck's foot.
Yeah, I'd be
A
seeing
web.
little
Okay, so
miniature feet. I'm seeing
I was
little
thinking
miniature feet.
full-size feet.
Full-size feet.
In your gooch.
That would be cumbersome, yeah.
Yes.
That would be cumbersome.
And
Right.
you wouldn't really be able to use them. In what scenario would would there be a benefit?
Well, I'll tell you,
having feet there.
if you had a woman who was maybe her father hadn't perhaps loved her as much as he should, and she has developed a foot fetish, and then if she went down and there was balls and feet together, she'd think, by God, it's Hanukkah down there to include a Jewish holiday. To
As we must.
just to show,
As we absolutely
just
must.
to show that that's just as important
Just
as Christmas or
Every bit as important.
Flanagan's birthday or
Yeah.
whatever else. But I want to get to Flanagan because this is something, and you tell me now if this is true, because when you went to Trinity, and then your friends that you'd grown up with, your brothers, your
Yeah.
blood, your friends of the flatland,
Yeah.
friends of the flat. And then one of them took to the internet 6 months into your time in Trinity, and he wrote his own op-ed
That's right.
on Bibo,
That's right.
blackening the name of Flanigan. Tell me about that
Yeah,
now.
it was a difficult moment in my life. So yeah, a lot of the lads ended up in UCD, and I was below in Trinity Halls, trying
Yes.
to go my own way. And I was trying to make new friends, and I suppose grow as
Small
a person.
course as well. That's tricky. 10
Yeah,
people on it.
yeah. That's right. So I'm trying to make new friends, and I'm living in this student accommodation. And over time, me and the UCD guys would kind of, at this, fresh week, whatever, you're still going to the same. You're going to Reds on a Monday.
Yes.
Do you remember the Reds?
Yes.
€3 drinks on a Monday night. City Bar, €2 drinks on a Tuesday night. Wednesday night, you might go down to, was it Tramco?
Would you ever have Tripod. We used to call it.
Stop, Tripod.
We used to call it Fight Pod.
Fight Pod?
Yes.
Did you ever get into a fight in Tripod?
I didn't get into one now. I was a pacifist, but I had friends of mine now that they'd dip their fists in petrol before they'd go down on Wednesday night, and they'd go down with nothing else in mind, only to puck the heads off lads. And there'd be other rival gangs with the exact same
A bar called Tripod.
Tripod.
That sounds like my kind of place.
You'd love it now. You'd love it. You beep boop boop boop.
Do they have tripods?
They didn't, and that confused people. You'd go in there and you'd say, well, there's a lack of the thing that you're advertising. But anyway,
Tripod means 3 feet.
yes, right. Right,
Just
yes.
to loop it in with the feet balls.
But yes, so there was no tripods, and I suppose that added to the frustration, and then that would have probably
That would
maybe
cause the fights.
and that might
If I stood
have,
up at a bar called Tripod and there was no tripods for me to screw and unscrew and have a good little footer with, I'd be angry
You'd
and
want to punch
disappointed.
someone in the face.
well, yeah, you're chewing on a wasp, and the only thing that'll kind of get that wasp out of your mouth is to inflict pain on another. But tripod.
So these boys,
Yes.
they've been in UCD all day. They've been drawing ducks and sticking them onto fridges.
Yes.
And now they're going to Tripod to fight.
Yeah.
So my friends would have been in that scene as well.
Yeah.
And over time, I kind of fell away from that scene. I was doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And then my friend, who I thought was my friend, Donica Lynch.
Yes.
We're
from
naming and
Rathangan.
shaming.
Yeah, he's from Rathangan.
Does he live in Spain as well? Do all your enemies live in Spain now?
No, just David Armstrong. He actually has an unsuccessful farm in County Kerry now. Does Donica Lynch? He is a very commercially unviable farm. He
We'll buy it for your dad.
Yeah,
He is
yeah.
a farm that is failing to support a young family down in Kerry.
Yeah, no, he basically does the farming as part-time, so he has kind of quite a lucrative job working for a local hotel. And
Yes.
local Americans will come in and they'll give him big tips and they'll have sex with him, and And
They'll
then,
have sex with him in his arse. Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me now?
I don't know the exact ins and
Donica
outs
Lynch
of
has...
bum sex.
Yes.
My
In his
understanding
arse.
is
In his arse with
I
American
understand that
businessmen.
he's heterosexual. It'd be fine if he wasn't.
Right.
It'd be fine if he wasn't. But my understanding is
That's
that
what
he
he's
is.
presented. That's the narrative.
As I understand, he's a practicing heterosexual.
Yes.
And has sex with American tourists. But in his spare time, he has a commercially unsuccessful sheep farm. This is true. He inherited bad land and is so spiteful.
Yes.
He's an incredible man. He lives in a beautiful part of Carsevine. It's stunning. And the land has been in his family for generations. And you kind of sit there with him and he can kind of pinpoint, well, this was our land, but then Cromwell took that off. And he's not joking. Like, he can go back generations. Like, this was in the Lynch family. You know what I mean? For centuries.
And there should be pride in that.
Huge pride.
Would he be Bull McCabean in his
he'd be kind of
outlook and lust for land?
a millennial McCabe.
A millennium McCabe.
A millennial McCabe.
A McCabe for the 21st century.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Absolutely insane.
Brilliant.
But an all-round
But
great
he's not
guy.
looking after it. But he's not, the farm.
No, he is.
That is.
He's
Now, those are fighting words to
He's
Lynch.
working. Don't say that now.
Don't
'cause
say
he'll,
that.
He'll get the fucking ferry over here now and he'll fight you. Worse again, he'll say something nasty on Bibo. about you.
Bibo.
Good Lord.
He's got form with that.
That's all I never had.
Yes.
Bibo.
That's right. So anyway, he decides he's in UCD.
Yeah.
He's doing one of these, I don't know what they do there. They give you a shoebox and you kind of go around having a scavenger hunt around the
Yeah,
campus.
these nonsense degrees like commerce and things.
Yeah.
Right, commerce, sports science.
That's right. They give you a block of Viennetta and they say, we'll see you in 3 months.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do what you will with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll put a blindfold on you. You'll be vaguely aware there's a donkey over here that you've put the pin a tail on.
That's right.
And you do that for 3 years.
Yeah.
So he's over there pinning tails on donkeys,
Or doing his best.
doing his best.
They're making statues of Charlie McCreevy out of empty yacht bottles.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's right. They're creating massive effigies
Yeah.
of Charlie McCreevy with empty yacht bottles. They're lighting them on fire and they're performing satanic sexual rituals.
Yes.
In the belief that they may be able to kind of take some of McCreevy's power.
Power. His aura.
That's right. That's
Yes,
right.
his
That's
influence.
Right. That's right.
Yes,
So
yes.
they're wild McCreevyists in UCD.
Charlie McCreevy, by the way, former Irish Minister for Finance, that many would say had a big hand in the financial crash in Ireland. But
also a big hand in the financial success of Ireland.
that's right. And as a McCreevyist, I expected you to say just as such.
He was a Peronist. It was like Argentina. The Argentines wanted to be rich.
Yes.
And they didn't care how it happened. So the Peronists wanted to just expand the middle class. Expand the middle class. And of course, it all collapsed. And the exact same thing happened with McCreevy and Fianna Fáil. It was a noble idea in a sense, totally built on corruption. But the idea was everyone's going to be middle class. We're just going to rezone all this land and overnight people will be millionaires and it'll be great. And it was great until it wasn't great.
Until it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But the boys were trying to then, in a way, they were trying to kind of revive, by building these statues of McCreevy with yacht bottles, revive the good times.
They're trying to bring back the Celtic
Celtic
Tiger.
Tiger,
Right,
yeah.
They're trying to bring back the
right,
Celtic
that's
Tiger.
what it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Resurrect the
And
tiger.
Lynch, over the course of first year university, became increasingly frustrated that he could not summon the ghost of Charlie McCreevy. And he took it out on me. I was over in the Protestant
What
university.
a Bebo. I never had Bebo. What?
They're possibly a bit young
You
now.
no, I was also just not cool.
Okay.
Everybody in my year had Bebo.
Bibo was very useful for internet bullying.
Yes.
And
Wasn't there like a list of your top 10 friends
right.
or something
Yes, that's
crazy
right.
like that?
So
Yes.
you'd order your top 10 friends. My number one, Horst Connolly, great guy, my
Yes.
first friend.
A horse?
His name is.
I'm
actually not sure his
a
real
minotaur.
name.
You've
met Horst.
I've met him. So his
You've
top
signed
half
pints.
of his body is actually human, and then the second half, which is quite Kildarian, is of Shetland pony.
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
Lovely
Half man,
guy,
half horse.
lovely
Horse
guy,
Connolly.
and he had a big pizza when I met him, and he was happy. He was one of the happiest little horses I'd seen in a while.
He was over the moon.
He was over the moon. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, my number one was Horse Connolly, and you could
Yes.
also share the love once a day. So
Okay.
you could there was the option to go on someone else's Bibo page and share the love,
Yes.
and that was your favorite person of the day.
Okay.
So it was kind of perfect for teenage bullying.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
perfect
yeah.
for that.
It's the
Yes.
power dynamics are fucked.
You know, imagine being left out of someone's top 10 if you thought you were friends with them. Or imagine, you know, I shared the love with you, but I didn't share the love with Mike. You know, for a 15-year-old, brutal stuff.
I honestly think if I'd had Bebo in school, we might have gotten ahead a lot of these problems that I've encountered over the last couple of years
Yes.
of thinking I've been good pals with people, but being terribly, terribly wrong.
Yes. Yes. Social faux pas after social faux pas.
So what, you think Bibo would have been kind of more transparent as to who liked you and
I
who didn't?
think I'd like this whole top 10 thing.
Yes.
Right. It's
Right.
unambiguous.
I know where
Dealing with-
I stand.
Yes.
Thumbs up, hearts, colours.
Yes.
Because he obviously wasn't on Bibo, but he kind of deals in
Beep
beep
boop.
boop. His mind goes beep boop, beep boop.
I
boop,
see.
Boop, beep boop. So,
I see.
yes.
This is a reference to your outstanding autism,
Yes.
diagnosis.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Very upcoming, actually. I think in 3 weeks' time, I've got my first appointment with the specialist.
Really? We're going
Woo.
to have a party.
She came to my Chelmsford tour show, and on the tour, loads of like autism practitioners happened to be in the audience.
Okay.
I hadn't really spoken about it loads, but they were just like, I wonder why I like this guy. And they were like, okay.
Readers
Spoke
of the
about the show.
Autist's Way.
So I had a bunch of different offers to do the assessment for free. So this is starting in the middle of June, now that I've finished the tour, where the tour show kind of needed a bit of ambiguity about whether I had autism or not. No, I'm going to find out.
That's going to be
We're going to
brilliant.
get to the bottom of it.
But I've already told him, for financial purposes, podcast, regardless of the results, he's riddled with it. Do you know what I mean?
A portrait of the autist as a young man.
That's
So you have your first session in 3 weeks, and she'll be assessing you for the autism. Or you've had is this will be the first assessment?
The first assessment. So I've done the GP stuff.
Okay.
And like I'm technically still on the NHS waiting list, but this is like
I
going
see.
private, and they're doing it for free.
I see.
Very cool of them.
yes.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
No.
Daunting.
Massively daunting.
Daunting. But anyway,
yeah.
Donica
we're on this
Lynch.
Bebo thing. We're on this Bebo thing.
Donica Lynch
Bebo.
had no such excuse
So
as
anyway,
having autism.
long story longer. One of the things at Bibo is you could write a blog. So I got into writing blogs, and I'd written kind of it was a blatant rip off of Ross O'Carroll Kelly.
Yes.
But it was set in Kildare, based on someone in our year. It was largely flattering of the guy in question, but you know, Donica, for whatever reason, decided to write his own blog, slagging me off. And it was about how I'd changed and how I'd gone to Trinity, and I was now a flute.
Getting notions.
flute.
I'm
He
sure
called
wasn't my
you.
father a flute?
Whoa.
Yeah, he brought my father
He brought
into
your
it.
father into it. A flute.
Now, I've a
Those are harsh words.
yeah. You don't call a man a flute.
You don't call a man a flute.
You don't call a man a flute.
No.
You don't call him some flute.
He's some flute, he
He's some
said.
flute.
Because
Flanagan's
you're an
some flute.
exceptional flute.
Yeah, he's some flute.
Wow.
So I was
Okay.
very hurt by this.
Yes.
So I'm sitting in my student accommodation. It's Tuesday night, and I'm sitting there with a friend of mine, Mark, who was like myself, a troubled writer,
Troubled writer.
from Offaly, and
An
wasn't-
alcoholic.
Alcoholic, was studying theology,
Yes.
and was also struggling in Trinity a bit.
Searching for love and
Yeah, should have went
acceptance.
to UL, as we all should have went to UL.
We should have all went
we
to
all
UL.
should have. We all would have been so happy in UL.
If we had my friend was in UC, he went to UL, different man. He was like, it's like Tiernan Oak.
University of Limerick.
University
Yes.
of Limerick. Yeah,
He didn't, it's Tiernan
Great
Oak.
basketball courts.
So I understand.
And that was just the beginning of the greatness down there, was the basketball courts.
Yeah.
You wouldn't grow old. People came back, they'd spend 5 years, they'd look younger. People who were bald would go there, suddenly they'd a full head of hair again.
That's right.
It was a rejuvenative place, a magical place,
That's right.
an oasis on the cold, wet, loveless island of Ireland.
Yeah.
Seventh-
Tiernan Oak.
Came seventh in the All Irelands there. Yeah. Basketball.
Is that right?
Yeah, in school.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You did. You played basketball and you played in UL.
As in, like, yeah, we went down. We like took a trip
wow.
down. Our school team would go down and play in the All Ireland schools basketball
Go away.
thing. Yeah, so I played there like a bunch of times.
Well, congratulations.
Very cool.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Great things happen
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Great
yeah,
things
yeah.
happen.
Great place.
And a friend of yours then, went to UL and was happy.
He was happy.
I never saw him again. He was kind of tearing an oak. You
Yes.
kind of pass through a portal and you don't see them again. And you wish them well. You're happy wherever he is. He's in another world now. He's in another realm.
But they're no longer.
Do you want to explain Tiernan for the English listeners who won't know what that is?
A mythological place
Yes.
in Irish folklore where people go and Tiernan means land of the young, and you are young forever. And it's kind of like Irish heaven.
So famously, the leader of na Fianna, Fionn McCool, who would now, if you'd seen him now, big legs like tree trunk, biggest, hottest, fucking strongest man of all time, and he led a group of warriors called na Fianna, and he had a son called Oisín, and sure, if there was any man who could even match Fionn for strength and speed and agility as a warrior, was Oisín. And Oisín got lured to Tiernan by an old bowel temptress named Niamh, who came up on a horse, and she brought him off on the horse to Tiernan, and Oisín's father made him promise never to stay in Tiernan. You have to come back to your family, go ride the howl off of her, get straight back, and we'll go kill some English. And he said no bother, but she went off with Niamh, happy as a fucking Larry. And at some point he decides, oh, geez, I better go home to my father. Right? Jeez, the kiock's nearly falling off me, leaving it in this one. I better go back. And she said, you can't go back now, or you can't. And he's like, well, sure, I have to. I promised the father. She said, well, yeah, if you go back, you have to stay on this fucking horse, because if you touch the ground, you'll never be able to come back to Tiernan and this plum that you've become so accustomed to down below. So Annie says, right, no bother. Goes back anyway. He's riding around, can't find his father anywhere to be seen. Can't find the members in the Fianna. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? This is a queer old business. So he goes around, he finds two owl lads trying to push a rock up a hill. God knows fucking why. But anyway, he decides he's still young and in the flush of youth, so he leans down with his big fucking shovel like, can't help the cunts push it up. And in doing so, he slips and falls off the horse, hits the ground, instantly ages 200 years. Because what he didn't realise, what he thought a few blissful years riding the fucking howl off of Niamh was actually 200 years, because people don't grow old in Tiernan.
That's right.
Time is eternal.
That's right.
And he sat there and he was dying, and he says to the two outlaws, what of my father, Fionn McCool and na Fianna? He said, geez, they're dead hundreds of years, and everyone belonged to them dead. And a little tear comes out in his eyes, and then he dies himself. That's and right. The moral of that story, don't be going off with old strange yokes.
Don't be helping out lads rolling rocks up.
That's the real moral.
If they're stupid enough to try push a rock up the hill, leave them off to their own devices. And that's the moral of that story.
What's incredible about that story, Mike, is that I remember learning about that in third class.
Yes.
So I don't know what it was like. I presume in the north of Ireland, and in the British education curriculum in general, when you learn history, you learn about like the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah,
real stuff that happened.
Yeah, in Irish primary school. Have you talked about this before?
No.
It's incredible. In Irish history class for primary school, you learn mythology, and it's called history.
Yeah,
history class is mythology.
We would
learn about the
spent
fucking salmon of knowledge.
We learn about the salmon of knowledge.
You learn about it as fact.
That's right. That story I just told, we would have spent the guts of 5 years on that.
Am I mad?
Yeah, that was most of my childhood education. Yeah.
Am I losing my head, or was the giant from the Giant's Causeway also called Finn McCool?
He was.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Was he supposed to be the same person?
They plugged him into fucking everything. I read once.
It's the Marvel universe of Fionn McCool.
Yeah. He got killed in 1916.
Okay.
He was beside James Connolly. He got shot. They plugged him into everything. He played in Jack Charlton's. He was up front with Niall Quinn in 1990.
What was the end of this? Because we're coming to the end of the public episode.
Oh, yes.
What was the end of this Bibo thing? What happened?
So he shames me on Bibo. Me and Mark, my friend from Offaly, who ended up going to Tiernan, we're like, we have to do something. Like, we can't just let this lie.
Yeah.
So decision was made that we're going to get into my grandmother's Toyota Corolla.
Okay, big.
We're going to buy some eggs from Centra. And we're going to drive to UCD and egg Donncha Lynch.
Himself?
We're gonna,
not his place of residence?
No, we're going to egg Donncha Lynch in his face.
On his head and his face?
And his head and his face.
And then
he'll
have egg on his face?
Yeah, that's right. He'll literally have egg in his face.
God help us Maybe even his arse.
If so me and my Protestant friends get into my car anyway, and
Your new Protestant friends.
I think they're all Roman Catholic. We're effective. You become Protestant as soon as you go into Trinity.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
You kind of metamorphose. It's like a slug becoming a butterfly. And
What?
Instead it'd be a slug becoming a fatter, more rotten slug.
that's right. That's right.
It'd be more of
Isn't
a
that how butterflies?
more even
Is that
de-evolution.
metamorphosis?
Caterpillar.
Pardon me?
Caterpillar.
Was that a caterpillar?
A slug becoming a butterfly?
Dude,
I've seen it happen in Tiernan Oak. Oh, it can happen.
yeah.
Where Flanagan's from, it can happen.
in Kildare,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
Slugs can
Sorry,
become
slugs
butterflies.
become crows. Sorry, I got confused. And then they run for local
these
office.
these
Fianna
different
Fáil.
history lessons.
That's right.
So
That's right.
You pile into the car.
We pile into the Outer Corolla.
Yes.
We bail down the Stillorgan dual carriageway. We're under cover of darkness. It's about 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
UCD is this huge kind of palatial campus. There's one way in, one way out. So we kind of slowly drive past security, and we're hoping they don't kind of
No
say anything
questions
to
asked.
us.
Yes.
We're
They don't smell the
we're
education off you.
We're dressed in black.
Yeah.
It's a 1996 Toyota Corolla with Kildare registration plates, and we've a 6-pack of eggs. And we're driving
Big
to
night.
Roebuck.
Yeah.
Michael know Roebuck.
I do.
So Roebuck's their student accommodation.
Yeah.
And we're driving up, and we park outside Lynch's place, and I leave the car running.
Yeah.
Get away.
There's 4 of us. We get out of the car, and Lynch is
Reservoir
standing-
Dogs.
Reservoir
walking down.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun,
dun. Noise. Yeah. Right.
We're walking up.
Yes.
Lynch is standing there smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
In a white hoodie, and he's got 2 thugs either side of him.
Yeah.
Two students.
Crab and Goyle.
Yeah, Crab
Yeah.
and Goyle are standing there. They're killing time in UCD before they inevitably go to prison.
Yes.
Or Australia.
Yeah.
And
Lots of muchness.
that's right. So they're the 3 of them are there anyway, sucking cigarettes. And Lynch's kind of surprised to see me, but he has to play it cool as well. I'm there with my Protestant friends.
How
Well,
soon after the Bebo blog?
Bibo dropped that day.
That day,
it's hot
the
off the
same
press.
day.
It's hot off the press.
You're there on site.
My car's still running. Keys in the car. Keys in the ignition. And we're walking up. Me and the boys. We're walking up, and Lynch is looking at me, but he has to play it cool. And he's like, "What are you doing here, Flanagan?" And I was like, "Here, there's a house party. You know, we're just here for the house party." And he said, "Right." And I said, "What's the house party in aid of anyway?" And he's trying to play it cool.
So there was a house party
There's a
going
house
on.
party going on
And
behind
you
me.
got information
I had information
that Lynch was at this house
That's
party.
exactly right.
Right.
That's exactly right. So I said, "What's the house party in aid of? What's the occasion?" And he looks at me, takes a drag of a cigarette, and he goes, "Tuesday night. You know, these are UCD guys,
Right.
right? They're too cool for education.
Yeah.
So they're just drinking cans, smoking cigarettes, sniffing glue, reading Where's Wally books." And he said, "What are you doing here, Flanagan?" And I said, "Oh, you know, Lynch, just doing a bit of egging." So I pull out my egg.
Yo.
And I launched the egg,
Yeah.
and 2 of the boys launched their eggs, and the 3 eggs are going through the air. They're soaring through the air. I'm watching them rotate. They hit Lynch in his chest, but they don't break.
Oh, boo.
They bounce harmlessly off his white hoodie and break at his feet. Lynch looks at the broken eggs, looks at my disgraced face, takes a drag of his cigarette, and goes, "Ah, Flanagan." I am now like I have driven to UCD to egg Donegal Lynch. I have failure to launch, soft cock,
Yeah.
total humiliation. I've thrown my eggs. The eggs haven't broken.
Fuck.
I'm going to have to leave the country.
Jesus
I'm going to have to leave
Christ.
the country.
Yeah.
What I don't realise is there's a 4th man, Colin, from Donegal. Quiet fella, studying medicine. Never troubled anyone. He hasn't thrown his egg. Fuck. He throws his egg, and I'm watching it, and I'm praying, and I'm praying, and I'm praying, and it hits Lynch right in his abdomen's apple. Smashes. The yoke goes right down the white hoodie.
Oh, yes.
Oh, well, yes! Fuck yes!
Come on, Donegal!
Come on, Donegal! And we leg it back to my car. We're roaring, laughing.
Fuck.
Lynch, Crab and Goyle are running after us, swearing. We pile into the car. Poor Rory is sitting in the passenger seat.
Yes.
He's actually the windows are open. He's actually taking digs to the face from, I think it might have been Crab.
Crab
is punching him in the face. I'm trying to start the car. Well, the engine's running, so I'm taking off. Lynch. I'm trying to close the door. Lynch gets the arm in through the door, grabs me by the throat. I'm driving. He's running alongside the car with his hand on my throat. I go, Lynch, and I slam the door on his arm. He falls away. And we speed out of UCD under cover of darkness.
Come on!
Yes.
And I avenged my father, and it was wonderful. And me and Lynch didn't speak for about a year. And then we bumped into each other at a different house party in Charlie McCreevy's house.
Yes.
And we looked at each other, and I said, Lynch.
Housemaid of Yops.
Housemaid of Yops, and pictures of Bill Clinton. And I looked Lynch in the eye and I said, look, let's not cry over cracked eggs. And we've been great friends ever since. We sorted it.
Wow, yeah.
We sorted it.
You both took your swipes.
That's right.
If that
Both got your lumps.
That Donegal man having the egg.
I wouldn't be here.
Wow. You wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Who the fuck needs normal people? Get that in the BBC.
That's right.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's right. You would be up to your nuts in gambling debts in fucking
I'd be living in
Peru.
Spain.
Yeah.
I'd be living in Spain like David Armstrong.
You would have been in the Costa del Sol.
That's right.
You would have become a bagman for the Kinnans. There is nothing surer. Lads, that's the pub. You'll stay here for the Patreon.
I'm here.
You will.
I
You
will, of
won't
course.
go.
I'm saying.
You won't be let go.
Don't leave us.
You won't be let
Don't
leave.
leave us.
Till we
Please,
ring
for
you.
the love of goodness.
Vittorio, do you have anything to plug? Or no, Peter first. Flanagan, guest first. Anything to plug now?
When's your
now.
book out?
My book, actually, I've been writing under a pseudonym, Sally Rooney, for the past number of years. So, Mike's been encouraging me to go on tour. So hopefully, I'll be going on tour. But follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram or TikTok.
Peter's one of my.
Yes, you're killing it over there on the Instagram.
Yeah.
It's going all right.
One of my favourite comedians. I love him. Go see him live. Follow him on
Peter Flanagan on Instagram.
Peter Flanagan Comedy. Yeah.
Peter Flanagan Comedy. There we go.
Absolutely love Flanagan. So go do that. You should write a book about fucking egging Lynch. The egging of Donegal Lynch would be an unbelievable fucking book. Vito, what do you have to plug, brother?
I am at the Edinburgh Fringe in August from the 31st of July all the way through to the end of the Edinburgh Fringe, doing Monkey Bar 1 at 7:35 every single day, and we have 2 extra shows on sale because lots of the shows are already sold out at McEwen Hall, which is big and scary. So they're on the 8th and 22nd of August. Get your tickets for that. I would appreciate it. And then we have upcoming work in progress shows leading up to that Edinburgh Fringe show. In London, we have the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th of June, and then we have Leeds on the 9th of June, Manchester on the 10th of June, and the 8th of June, Manchester as well. And sure, that's enough to be getting on with for now. I'll plug more of them down the line, but also just watch the video of me nutmegging Berbatov. I think that's my main plug for the day.
VO nutmegging Berbatov.
We can talk about the full story of that on the Patreon as well. We'll get into
we'll get into that. One of the great moments in the history of Irish sport. Berbatov, much like Lynch, basically got egged. He basically got fucking egged. Listen, lads, I just released tickets for Belfast for my tour show next year. They're fucking flying. Vickers Street, Dublin. Get the tickets. UK tour, London. I think we're fucking 80% gone there. Get the tickets. Shepherd's Bush Empire.
That's some buzz.
That's some buzz. Tickets. I go all over Manchester, Liverpool, everywhere. I tell you where I need help is fucking Aberdeen and fucking Dundee. Get on it. Stop teasing me. Get the tickets. Enough with the Presbyterian fucking, peeling oranges in their pockets. They don't want to spend the money till close. Buy the tickets now, you pigs. And that is all. We'll see you on the Patreon. We love you. Follow Peter Flanagan. Praise be Allah. Thank you. Oh!